Hi, this is Hilton Holder here from Clearmatch Trading. I want to introduce you to the perfect solution to remove all randomness and errors in shade matching between you and your lab. It's called Clearmatch. It's developed in the United States and it's got a very large following over there. Well, I'm just going to start off and show you that first of all you can add a new patient. I've added a new patient called John Smith just for the sake of saving some time, and I'm just going to open his records here. And what you want to do is select an image. Now what you can see here is black and white standard, and here you have a standard Vita Classic A2 shade guide. This little gadget here, it's only $40 and it's anodized and it presents the perfect black and white values. So these are the first two references that the program actually needs. It needs a black and a white, and then it triangulates the color by virtue of having a further shade guide, and we would for all practical purposes just standardize on A2 because it does cross references in a lot of other shade guides. So let's have an A2 shade guide, a white and a black. So in order to process this image and get a perfect shade map, simply we go to the Process tab and we have to set the references now. So first of all we set the white reference, then we set the black reference, then we add the reference of the shade guide, and this is an A2, and because we're using the Vita 3D Master at the moment, we have to look for the equivalent, which is 2M2. It matches the Vita Classic A2 perfectly, and click on OK. So now we've got our reference points, and right away we can actually normalize the image. So what those three reference points have done is allowed us to instantly color correct this image. Now obviously it still relies on your screen and a few other things, but this gives you a lot more context than the original image. So this system is totally it's not reliant on any particular camera setting or any particular camera or any ambient lighting or whatever. Just take the image, as long as it's a fairly decent clinical image of say 5 pixels or more, 5 megapixels or more, you should be fine. So as you can see, we got the normalized image. Now, when you want to communicate with your lab, probably the first thing you'd want to do is actually print out this normalized image for the technician. You're not seeing all the shades there, this is just a preview. So I'm just going to print it to Adobe PDF format, and I'm just going to call it normalized. I'm just overwriting that for the sake of saving some time. So you see there the technician now has the patient's name and he has the normalized image. So this is very important for him to give him context on producing the perfect color match. I'm just going to close that. Now to get the shade map is as simple as that. You click on shade map, and I'm just going to clear all those labels. So you can see it's mapping the shade, and here by the standard bar you can see when I run the mouse over those areas, it immediately gives me the corresponding Vita 3D Master Classic, or sorry, the Vita 3D Master shade value. And to get that, it's as simple as clicking on it. Click there, that's 3M1. The next one is this here, which is 3R1.5. Then we can click on this one here. Then we have that slight green, which is normally just translucency there, and here we have dark translucency, which translates to 5M1. And what we can do now is, because we can see the values here, these are the percentages of these values involved, but it's involved in all the teeth. So in order to just involve the proper tooth, we're just going to say use a region. I'm just going to go back to the original image, and we draw this region over it just with the mouse, just to isolate that tooth and get the percentages right for that particular tooth. And let's go back to the shade map now. We can see these are the new percentages of that particular tooth. So what we want to do is simply print it out now. So we're going to go File, Print Preview, and see it brings up only the tooth together with the perfect shade matching for that and the values. And when we print it, we can actually select that it gives us not only that particular tooth, but it also gives us the shades and the original image, all three on one page, and that once again produces a lot of context for the technician to work with. So I'm just going to overwrite that previous one there, yes, and you see this is what you get. You get the actual tooth, and you can see the translucency in the tooth on the incisal edge here, and you see it's perfectly replicated in the shade, so that gives the technician a lot of context. And here he has the Vita 3D Classic values on which to work, and that was it. Easy peasy pie. For perfect shade matching, you can't get easier than that. Now the next thing I want to show you is if you're using the Vita Classic Shade Guide, and here it becomes more complex because the Vita 3D Master, for example, incorporates first of all the value or the lightness or darkness of the actual shade, as well as the proper shade or the hue and the chroma as well, whereas Vita Classic doesn't. And so you've got translucency that you've got to deal with on 4 different levels, and you also have values that you have to specify, because the value is actually more important than the shade in order for the technician to do a good job of the reconstruction. So what we're going to do is select that same picture again, go to the Process tab, and I'm just going to remove the region for now, and what I'm going to do is select the Vita Classic here. Now you can see it contains a whole lot, pretty much every shade guide standard of note: Avanti, Chromoscope, Aesthetics, Finesse, Dye Material, Ivoclar Dye Material, Noritake, etc. But let's just go to Vita Classic. Now the first thing we want to do is actually just determine the translucency, because you can see there's a lot of translucency, light translucency, there's some dark translucency on this tooth. So what we're going to do once again is set the white reference, set the black reference, then we're going to add the reference, which is the Vita A2, so we put it right in the sweet spot and tell the software that that's an A2 shade tab. Once again, we got the normalized image and we can print that out for the technician. But here we got the shade map, and here we can see, if we once again, if we look at the standard bar there as we run the mouse over this, we got light translucency there, and on this green is medium translucency, and at the bottom here is dark translucency. Now we can see this spot here, if we look at the original image, is simply reflection, so we just ignore that. Let's just go back to the shade map. We can also set the sensitivity, by the way, just so we capture more of the tooth, so the sensitivity is not as much. Once again, we got that light, medium and dark translucency. Now this does not tell us what shade this translucency is derived from. It simply tells us the translucency. So what we're going to do is actually just create the translucency for now. So we're going to click on that. You'll see it's light translucency, depending on what this is called in your particular shade guide, but it's extra light translucency, light, medium and dark translucency, and everyone will know what you're speaking of. All technicians would understand what that is, even if it's named differently in their system or their porcelain. And then we're going to click on here, which gives us dark translucency, and here, which is, okay, we're once again on light. I'm just going to clear the labels again. So here we have the medium translucency, and there the dark translucency. And what I'm going to do once again is just use the region and do a printout, and I'm going to print out that together with the standards image and the shade map, and I'm just going to put that as the shade, as the translucency for now. So I'm just going to overwrite that again for the sake of saving time. I'm printing it out here to PDF format. So you see there's the tooth. Here's the translucency map, so you can see your light translucency, medium and dark translucency there. So that would be step 1. The next thing we want to do is actually find out what shade determines the translucency. So because the translucency doesn't tell us anything of what the color is of the actual tooth. And so what we would do is choose the Vita Classic standard but with no translucency, and what it's going to do now is find the closest shade. So now you'll be able to determine what the translucency is derived from, or how you should cut in and overlay translucency. So here we have it now, and if we go to the shade map now, I'm just going to get rid of these labels. You can see that is a D2. You see when I run the mouse over that? So that is light translucency over a D2 standard. So I'll just click on that, and the rest was translucency over a D3 standard. And I'm just going to ignore that because we know that's dark translucency derived from the D3. So here you would just overlay the dark translucency, or you might get the lab just to opaque it darker and then cut in over here depending on the materials they use. So this will give you the translucency map, and this will this will give you the shade map, and together with the previous translucency map you already have a lot of information. So I'm just going to print this one out and print. Once again I'm going to put all three down, and I'm going to call that shade. And you see this is what the technician would receive. So you would see this is that translucency from a D3, a D2, and that there is just dark translucency. He knows that already. So I'm just going to close that. I could have made this a little bit more sensitive or less sensitive, but in any event it is all there already. The next thing you want to determine is actually the values. And the values are, as I said, more important than the actual shades in most cases. So what we're going to do is select this and set it on the Vita values. And I'm just going to clear all the labels and clear all the references here, and go to the original image. And once again, I'm going to just give it references. So I'm going to set the white reference, set the black reference, and then add the A2. Now this is A2 value. You see this is a value map, and you can see the dark and lightness values here. And to get the value, we go there. I'm just going to remove the region for now, and you can see that one there in the middle. If you look at that there, that's an A3, so that's value of an A3. That sort of purplish color is value of C2, and that there is the value of a B3, and here you have this purple there, the value of an A4. Now if I make this a little bit less sensitive as well, you can see that translucency running all around is the value of a C4. So now I'm just going to set the region on again and print this out. You see, so here you have the value map, and once again I'm going to include not only the value map but the original image together with the shading, and print that out. And I'm just going to call this value, save over it again, and wait for that to come up. So there you have it. The technician now has the original tooth, he's got the value map, he's got the shade map, and he's got the translucency map. Now with that there is no more accurate means of communicating what that tooth should look like between you and the lab. He's got everything he needs, and that's why Clearmatch is probably the most practical and simplest method of perfecting your color matching between you and your lab. Thank you.